Story that sounds impossible, a tale whispered in hangars long after the engines have cooled. Did it really happen? Did two colossal four-engine giants of the sky truly touch in mid-air and fly as one? The date is October 11th, 2025. Looking back 80 years, the accounts still feel like fiction. But on a cold, unforgiving night during World War II, the impossible became a desperate reality. The sky was a vast, inky blackness punctuated by the distant, uncaring shimmer of stars. Below, the sea churned, a dark, unforgiving expanse offering no comfort, no second chances. Inside the rattling aluminum fuselage of a B-17 Flying Fortress, the mission had been hell. Anti-aircraft fire, thick as a thorny forest, had ripped through their formation. The Wee Willie had taken a brutal hit. A flak shell exploded near its left wing, tearing a massive chunk from the aileron and damaging the wing's internal structure. The bomber refused to fly straight. It developed a terrifying roll to the left, a constant dragging pull. Furman wrestled with the controls, his co-pilot fought alongside him. The aircraft was mortally wounded, bleeding altitude and stability. Inside, the crew knew they were in dire trouble. The flight engineer stared at his panel, watching the engines strain. The radio man sent out a tight, controlled distress call. Below, the cold, dark North Sea seemed to reach up. Furman couldn't maintain control for much longer. The bomber was a ticking clock. A slow, agonizing descent played out in the lonely night sky. Nearby, the Phyllis Marie, Lieutenant Lloyd Jennings and his crew, heard the call. They watched the sister ship grow more erratic. The decision was made in an instant. There was no time for debate, no committee to consult. It was a choice between a slim chance of survival and the certainty of a cold, watery grave. Over the crackling radio, the two pilots coordinated.
"We're coming under you,"
Jennings said, his voice a beacon of calm in the storm of fear. Furman, straining at his yoke, simply replied, "Okay." With painstaking precision, Jennings decreased his altitude slightly and began to slide his B-17 into the space directly beneath the faltering bomber. The air between the two planes grew thin, the margin for error vanishingly small. The crew of the Phyllis Marie held their breath. From their positions, they could see the dark underbelly of the Wee Willie just feet above them, a monstrous shadow blocking out the stars. The slightest updraft or a moment of overcorrection could cause a catastrophic collision, sending both planes and all 20 men spiraling into the sea. Jennings flew not by instruments, but by feel, his hands impossibly gentle on the controls. He coaxed his bomber upward, inch by agonizing inch. The crew of the Wee Willie looked down, seeing the top of the other B-17 rise up to meet them like a helping hand from the void. Then came the touch. It was not a violent crash, but a soft metallic kiss. A gentle scrape as the top of the Phyllis Marie's fuselage met the ball turret on the underside of the Wee Willie. A shudder ran through both aircraft. For a heart-stopping moment, the planes seemed to fight each other, grinding together with a sound that made the crews cringe. But then, as Jennings found the delicate balance point, a strange stability took hold. The violent, uncontrolled roll of the Wee Willie ceased. It was now resting, piggyback style, on the bomber below. The two planes were locked together, flying as one. This was the peak of the risk, the moment of truth. Now came the impossible task of flying this strange, two-headed beast. The combined weight and aerodynamics were a complete unknown. Foreman, in the top plane, relaxed his death grip on the controls slightly, feeling the blessed relief as the roll was arrested. Jennings, in the bottom plane, now bore the burden. He was not just flying his own plane, he was flying both. Using tiny, precise adjustments of his rudder and elevators, he steered the piggybacked pair through the night, his eyes fixed on the dim silhouette of the plane just inches above his cockpit windscreen. The journey that followed was the longest of their lives. For nearly 2 hours, the two B-17s flew locked together, a single, bizarre shape against the pre-dawn sky. Teamwork became everything. They relayed info to the crew below. The strain on their engines was immense. Every minute was a small victory, another mile closer home. Dawn lightened the eastern horizon. The coast of England emerged, a dark, welcome line. Hope burned brighter. The pilots planned the final, most dangerous phase, separation and landing. With the runway in sight, the moment of separation arrived. On a coordinated count, Jennings dipped the Phyllis Marie's nose. The two bombers broke apart. The connection severed. For a terrifying second, the Wee Willie dipped violently, left its old injury reasserting itself. Furman was ready. He made a final, heroic effort, fought the plane level, and guided it down. It slammed the runway, skidding and groaning, but it was down. Moments later, Jennings brought Phyllis Marie in for a perfect landing. Side by side on the ground, the two metal giants rested. Silence after engine shutdowns. Hatches flew open, crews climbed out legs unsteady on solid ground.